Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Liam Boehm, and in this video right now, I want to break down the kind of like archetype, okay, like the mental model and the representation of the person who, what I'm seeing, it really does the best and gets rid of their tinnitus the quickest, and what's working the best in the world of tinnitus right now to get rid of tinnitus for people. This also goes for vertigo, hyperacusis, pulsatile tinnitus, all that fun stuff too. So I'm going to break this down. So I've called it the modern caveman, okay? And the reason I've called it the modern caveman, turning on my brightness, is because it the kind of person that actually does the best. By the way, I got that from a music video, so thanks guys. Imagine Dragons. This person lives in society, okay? So they're physically in society, they're living in a home, or they're not out in the wilderness or in a commune. They're in, they could be in New York, all right? But they live like a caveman or a cave woman. So if you're a cave woman, then this also applies for you. But as we'll go through, I'll explain it. So what are some of the factors that really, what are some of the ways of living that this, modern caveman lives by? Okay, that they help prevent tinnitus, because we're talking about tinnitus here, prevent tinnitus or get rid of it, okay? And one of the main factors, I believe, is that there's no, constant running through the head about the future or the past or anything like that, okay? Regarding things that don't matter. Of course, food, money, shelter matters. But we're talking about social media here. Like, oh God, why haven't I reached the level of this person? Or, oh God, should I have broken up with that girl? Or like, oh God, should I, why is this person traveling and I'm not? Or, oh God, like this, I wish I had kids. Or I wish I didn't have kids. Or, oh my God, like I wish I looked like this, I wish I had that, or whatever. And you just get this FOMO, and maybe you see your friends out and you didn't get invited or whatever it might be, because they're not really your friends then. But you see what I'm saying there? There's no unnecessary wondering, because you just don't know. Okay, and funnily enough, the people who don't spend time on social media are the most generally confident and secure in themselves, and then they get invited to stuff anyway. Okay, and that ties into socializing. Okay, and if you think about the caveman situation, hundreds of thousands of years ago, you would see generations living together. Okay, this is theoretical. Obviously, if you look at some of the literature and research on archaeology and evolutionary biology, but this is basically common consensus that this is how it would run. Okay, so generations living together. So the grandparents would, raise their kids and learn what worked and learn what didn't work, and then they would be able to help their kids. Okay, so they'd raise their own kids and go, oh, we fucked up there, and then they'd help their kids. So to shorten the learning curve for the parents, they'd be able to take the kids who would be a handful. Like if you've ever seen, like a mother bear in Canada, the camera crew following her, and the three cubs. The three cubs are just jumping all over her all the time. Like that's pretty they need some space. And sometimes they do just run away and leave the kids for an hour or two just to get some space. Same thing goes for polar bears. They just need some space, because as soon as they sit down to rest, the kids are just jumping all over them because they, want love, basically, so they know they're protected and they won't die. So a sense of belonging too is really important here. Most people live in isolation. They have their job, they go to work, and they hang out with people who they would never spend time with outside of work. And there's no real sense of belonging or appreciation or family. And your work does not appreciate you, okay? If you're like working at a fish and chip store, or you're an accountant or something like that, unless you're amazing and you are literally irreplaceable, no one cares. If you ever learned about business or hiring or firing, one of the main things you have to always keep in mind is whenever someone's good at what they do, and you've hired them, learn what they're doing and then figure out how to replace them when they quit. No one is really appreciated in the world of business, because business is cutthroat and it's just the way that it works. So family is really where that belongs, and also outside groups and sport teams, and if you're an icon in your field, or you've helped someone, or let's say for example, maybe if you're like a police officer or an ambulance driver or a paramedic, then it's a bit different. But if you just work in corporate, then yeah, no, not happening. Okay, the other thing is physical contact with the earth. So this is grounding and swimming. So grounding is the act of literally touching the earth. So sand, dirt, rivers, grass fields, mountains, ice, whatever it might be, as long as the ice is connected to the ground. Touching the ground with your bare skin. And there's lots of science that's gone into it. And it's something that I've looked into for a long time. And I have come to the conclusion that it's It's so beneficial. It's unbelievable, and it's the number one source of antioxidants in the world. So if you look at fruit and vegetables, they're always like, oh, it's it's the antioxidants. There's so many. It's so good, but they're not bioavailable. They're attached to anti-nutrients, oxalates, and your body can't digest them. Okay. If you look at the research from Georgia Ede, there's a YouTube video called Little Shop of Horrors. Georgia Ede, Georgia EDE. She's a medical doctor. Okay, she does some research in the field of basically eating only meat and not vegetables, and she's all but proven that antioxidants cannot be digested by fruit, okay, sorry, vegetables. So where do you get them? You get them from the blood of herbivores, okay, because herbivores can digest that stuff. The nutrients that we supposedly need in vegetables and fruit and grass and trees and whatever else and berries, let the herbivores eat them, and then we'll eat the herbivores. That's how it works. And also touching the ground, okay, because we don't drink blood anymore. We don't do that, okay, it's gross. But if you can have a rare steak, that could help. But touching the ground is really the way to do it. So touching the ground barefoot, and just look into the research by yourself. Don't take my word for it. Okay, heavy lifting, so strenuous exercise, building a hut, moving boulders, moving large amounts of dirt with your hands. Okay, there's no machinery back then. Okay, healthy heart. Okay, which goes about saying your cardiovascular system must be working in order to help your blood flow to your brain, and of course your lymphatic system. That goes into diet as well, your lymphatic system. But obviously the basic gist of that is that exercise, it does affect every part of your body. If you're just sitting there doing nothing, you're basically going to waste away, especially if you're eating shit food. But this is, long-term exercise. I don't really promote that because it will lower your testosterone, which is not ideal for man or woman. Okay, another thing is, I think the sixth point is that you're nobody's bitch. Okay, family, friends, other tribes, which basically in today's world means your boss, people online, people in the street. You don't take shit from anybody. It doesn't even cross your mind. Okay, you might walk away, and I'm not saying that you get in fights. That would be very stupid, because you would go to prison and accidentally kill someone and go to jail for like 8 years for manslaughter. But you don't take shit when you shouldn't. Okay, and also you don't get in arguments with people who are, the lion doesn't care about what the sheep think. So you don't get an argument with stupid people online. Okay, when stupid people comment on my videos or my Instagram, they just get blocked and the comment gets deleted. Okay, they can share their opinion, that's fine, but when I can see they're making, some people just wake up and they go out looking for it. They go out looking for an argument because, I don't know, I guess they have time on their hands and they just don't like their life, and so they just go out doing that shit. So there's different ways to look at that, but you're nobody's bitch. Okay, but you're not going out and looking for situations where someone treats you bad so you can then be like, hey, fuck you, and then you're like, hey, I'm nobody's bitch, because you're just as bad as the other person. Okay, you're a reasonable person as well. Eating window. Okay, he or she gorges himself every couple of days on a huge meal and then doesn't eat for days. Okay, and that goes about saying it'll keep your insulin low and it'll keep you in ketosis for a lot of the time. That's in plenty of my other videos. Okay, no processed foods. Playing games as well is important. So this can transfer into board games, not video games, because that's not very social, but board games, spending time with a family. I used to remember when I was young playing Harry Potter board games, spinning games and these little roller games and Monopoly and stuff like that. But back then they would have been playing things like some sort of sports, I'm sure, like tag, jumping from cliffs. Wrestling would really be probably what it was, because they'd be practicing for when they're older and they had to really wrestle. Okay, hunting. So this is important. So this is a challenge which actually has something at stake. So when you're hunting for a rabbit or you're hunting for a woolly mammoth or whatever it's going to be, okay, that's dinner. So you have to kill it, right? That's the thing. So it's such a focused thing, and when you have that purpose and that focus, and we'll get into purpose in a second, it really gives your life a meaning. Okay, and so these people, because if you look at when philosophy was created, it was created in Athens in the time of Socrates and Aristotle. Okay, because that was the first time that people really had a monopoly on most of the world, and they had the rest of the world sending them wealth, and they had slaves, etc. So they had time to sit around and think, and they were thinking about the meaning of life and yada yada yada. Where 200 years prior to that, people were thinking, shit, I hope I eat today. So they'd be focused on, the day in the moment. And when you're hunting and you do something that is so vital to, you have to do it or else, you kind of get out of that mode of thinking about what is the meaning of life and what is this and why did I do that? That was so silly. You just think, fuck it, it's time for me to get my shit together and do this, Another thing is acts of violence. So this might seem a bit controversial and odd to some people, especially if you're not a man, okay, or a masculine man, or maybe this is not your preference. But every man and every woman, a person has a dark side, okay? So it's true, don't deny it. We've all thought about, fuck that person, I wish I'd hit them with my car or something like that. But unfortunately, due to the law today, well, not unfortunately, sorry, but due to the current situation, you can't do that because you'll ruin their kids' lives and their parents' lives. And a couple of hours later, you think, Jesus Christ, what was I thinking? That's insane. Unfortunately, some people do it anyway, obviously. But it's a part of, living, and violence is a part of life. And, there would have been some very, very bloody, violent, horrific acts done from one tribe to another back in the day. Especially if you look at Aborigines who were back in Melbourne, Australia. Sorry, not Melbourne, Australia. Back in Australia, Melbourne. What they did was they used to have runners who would run from one tribe to another, sending a message. And there was a story, I remember we went on camp in Australia, and it was a guy literally called Uncle Blue Tongue. I think it was Uncle Blue Tongue, Uncle Blue Gum, who had his teeth bashed out because, as part of being an Aborigine warrior, the part of the process of initiation was to open your mouth, grit your teeth, and then beat your teeth out with a stick. And the women would have to put bees and honey in their hair before they could have kids. So it was not a fucking pleasant way to initiate anyone. Anyway, that's what it was. And so they had runners going from one tribe to another, and one runner got intercepted by a tribe, and he got paused for about 10 seconds to get interrupted, and then he went on his way. The person he was going to speak to, the leader of the other tribe, found out about this, so they went back and butchered and raped and killed the whole tribe. Okay? So, and they killed the men last, so think about how that would have been. So you get the idea of how bloody it would have been, but that's just a part of life, and they would have had no remorse because they don't watch the Avengers and they don't think being compassionate is our strength. Where if you look around you, being compassionate will mostly get you fucked. You're going to get screwed in life unless you have a bit of a hardness about you. The final thing is a purpose. Okay, so really the old tribe people, because this is what we're really talking about, like a modern caveman, but who lives in today's era. He's physically here, but his lifestyle choices are that of someone back way when. Okay, the purpose, they would have 2 or 3 things in life: food, shelter, family, and warding off predators and other tribes. And that was it. And they wouldn't have time to speculate about the meaning of the universe or what the stars mean. I'm sure they would have created their religions and ideas back then, because they would have just it is part of being human to assign meaning to things. But that is really that's kind of the end of this video. But let me know what you think in the comments. But I'm really seeing all these things as the kind of person who does really well. And also, I should have put in here persistence, okay? Just non-stop persistence to achieve a goal, which in this case obviously is tinnitus. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed it.